Tom Brady's in the house today, baby. We're back. Paradise Valley, week 4 coming at you. Pat Jamross is joining me, as always.
Pirates are here, baby. What's happening?
The 2-1 Pirates joining also with us is the 0-3 D Brown led. Can't even think of your name right now.
Red Zone Rockers 0-3.
Yeah.
We're still here.
Producer in the back, CDAP, chilling.
What's good?
How's that first win feel?
Feels great.
It was tough to see, I'm not going to lie.
Needed it.
We had an action-packed week. Let's jump into it, see what happened, recap it a little bit.
Let's do it.
First matchup, we'll start with Ross. How'd you feel about this one, Ross, taking the victory against Maddie Schultz?
Heading into this matchup with Sheehan not having Mike Thomas, George Kittle, and Mostert, it was an absolute look in the mirror. Like, we got to get this win. Like, we got to move to 2-1. We need a winning record. We started off the season bad the last couple of years. Like, we needed to get off to a good start, and it was close early on. And then I think Thielen got in the end zone. Hunt got in the end zone, and then once the Colts D started scoring a couple pick sixes, it was basically over, and it wasn't close. And I wanted to see Clyde Edwards-Helaire with the pressure on Monday night, but it wasn't needed. We like where our team's at. We got Sheen in 2 or 3 weeks coming up, and I think we're gonna have a completely different team, different matchup. So we're looking forward to that. But we like where we're at. Old Town we're in the winning bracket. We got the most points in the league, so we're ready.
How are you feeling about your Browns?
The Browns, there's going to be some hard decisions that need to be made this week. It's a great matchup for Odell. We'll probably touch on that in the preview. And then Hunt's kind of looking like a must start at this point. So we're going to have to make some decisions. I don't know if I can head into the crunch time of the season with Odell and Hunt, but we like what they've been doing so far. So.
I like Hunt a lot. That run game's nice. D Brown.
Yeah, and
What'd you say?
What do you think of this matchup? These two teams here.
I think it was a good matchup at first, but then it started just to shift in Ross's favor, and it's looking like Ross has a pretty decent team. I mean, he's got some 3 running backs that he can rely on, and I mean, I don't know if this is really touching on the recap, but just kind of like a draft recap. Is Ross still confident in picking Edwards-Helaire over Dalvin Cook?
Probably not, but I think the sky is still the limit with Helaire. He only has 1 TD. I have to think he's going to – the Monday night, I really liked how they used him in the passing game. I think he had 70 or 80 receiving yards on like 5 or 6 catches. So once he starts finding the end zone, he's going to have some 20-plus weeks, and I think the sky's the limit. But obviously Cook's been cooking, so
yeah, Cook's a stud.
Looking back, it's tough to, but at the end of the day, like, the Vikings offense kind of sucks, and I'd much rather be a part of the Chiefs.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Were you guys hearing Steve Levy on Monday night? He was just hammering Clyde Edwards-Helaire the whole night.
That's how it's. I think that's how it's supposed to be pronounced.
I didn't
he was literally hammering it every time. Clyde Edwards-Helaire with the run.
All right,
but yeah,
matchup.
Yeah, moving on.
The trip is in the Sandman. Big matchup, 2-0 teams. D Brown, what were you thinking watching this one?
I mean, this was the matchup of the week heading in, and it definitely lived up to it. Trev still looking for a quarterback. He might have one in Goff on his bench. I can see him probably just, if he can put his pride to his side, cutting Stafford this week, letting him go, and I don't think he needs him. I think Goff's a way better option. But, I mean, yeah, this was a good matchup. Kurtz's team is looking like, I would say, probably the best overall in the league. Trev's not too far behind him. And, it was a solid matchup.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah. Go ahead, Ross.
I think Kamara made it seem closer than it was, even though Trevor had a lead going into Monday night. It was still Tyreek Hill needing 3 points, which is most likely going to happen 99 times out of 100. This made me think that there really hasn't been a close matchup in the Valley since the 2 Monday night games the first week with Caleb and I, and then Dim and Sheehan. It's been kind of blowout cities. I mean, this was pretty close, but I mean, Camara had to go for almost 40 to make it somewhat competitive. So hopefully the Valley gets back to its competitive ways this week.
You think that's a fluke? You think that's half point PPR? What do you think that is?
I think it's just been matchups. Like if you, especially last week when there was 5 of us that went 145 plus, like the odds that none of us were playing each other made it just all blowouts. And if you and Daryl were matched up last week, it would have been a tight matchup, and me and Mac, it would have been tight. It was just kind of how the matchups fell.
There's like 5 teams here around 145, 150, and then 5 teams here 95 to 100. It was crazy. Yeah, good matchup here. Definitely will be interesting moving forward. Both these teams look like they have playoff potential, though.
Yeah, for sure.
The Dim Dogs and Lane and CDs, TDs, definitely, probably in my opinion, best name in the this year. CDs, TDs, I like it a lot. And he's been showing up as a nice flex player. But Lane's team is looking tough with the injuries besides Josh Allen. And it'll be tough for him to make a turnaround. Kelsey's nice, Allen's nice, but besides that, it's going to be tough. And then obviously Dim's team, we've continued to doubt him, especially me, but I got to give him some credit. His team's looking real good with Mahomes leading them. He looks unbelievable. And then obviously Henry, Robinson, and his wide receivers there, Hopkins and Lockett, 2 top 10 guys. So solid.
Yeah.
2 teams going in the opposite directions here.
For Dim, they literally started on Thursday night with James Robinson. He went off, and then everyone else on his team literally just had a week. Like, under 183. Like, I don't know if we'll see that this year again.
I'll give Dim credit with the Gallup start after trading for Tyler Boyd the week before. I thought for sure he'd get the start in the flex spot. Dim actually made a comment about how he's sick of starting Gallup, but he stuck with him, and he rewarded him with a 22-point week.
Yeah. It's funny, we were doubting the Ravens D, and they scored 1 point that didn't even come close to mattering. He maybe could have beat him by 100 if he had a different D in there.
Wow, Ravens D with 1 point. I didn't even know that.
And that's with a touchdown, which is crazy.
Yeah. That was a nice return by that guy, Duke Devernay or whatever.
Yeah.
But besides that Ravens offense, I don't know. You guys think they'll turn it around or?
I mean, they don't have that good of receivers besides Mark Andrews, who's like, once you game plan around that, their running backs haven't done much this year, the Ravens. It's like, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like Ross said, can Lamar win the big game? I don't think he can make the big throws. Like, really, I mean, he's good, but I don't think he can make the big throws.
Yeah, once you take away that run game, it's like, hey, beat us. And there was one in my work league, I was rooting against Brown, and he had Brown wide open for a touchdown. He just like completely missed the throw, and he missed a lot of throws. I do think that they're going to absolutely smoke the Redskins this weekend, but
yeah, they get down. I don't think they run the ball too much, so it sucks. And Lamar's body language, it just looks like he's pissed, and they have a different team down. So
Joel hit me up right before that game started, and he was like, "Yo, you want to trade Marquise Brown for J.K. Dobbins?" And he was like, "Not for this week because I didn't have a chance." He was like, "But just for a solid flex moving forward." And I was like, "I don't think I can rely on. I mean, I can't rely on Dobbins for sure, but I told him, I'm like, I think Dobbins is potentially going to be my keeper, and Marquise Brown is just way too hit or miss." I
mean, yeah. All right, moving on to my matchup. This was tough to watch sitting on the couch with Dap, just touchdown after touchdown parading in for him. And my guys Robinson played well, but had a touchdown taken away, overturned on him. Ridley went out at the 1 on his first catch of the game. And I don't know. My guys just continue to disappoint. My bench had a couple of nice touchdowns, but we got to turn around next week for sure.
Yeah, your starting lineup didn't really have – did they have many touchdowns? Did anyone score a TD in your lineup?
Just Robinson.
Just Robinson. And Robinson had a good game, but, I mean – yeah, I'm looking at it. You got to have – definitely you're going to need more from Jacobs and Mixon moving forward. And you got to be happy with what Ridley's showing you. I mean, through the first 3 games, he's probably a wideout 1, fringe wideout 1. But Dab's team, after a tough start, he's got some good players. Dab's definitely got some pieces. And I think with Mike Davis, that could be a potential, high-end flex for the next 3 or 4 weeks. So I think Dab could maybe crawl out of this 0-2 hole that he started in.
And there's been a lot of talk about the waivers today, and I think Dap being the last pick in the draft, he got rewarded with the number 1 waiver claim. And like he said in the group, he waited on it, and it was the right move because he got Mike Davis. And who knows if McCaffrey comes back on time. If not, like Davis getting catches out of that backfield. You think Carolina's going to be playing down a lot. So he's going to be a good fantasy PPR guy. And he came up big, 19. I don't know if he got a TD or not, but that's a solid outing.
Yeah, definitely. High-end flex. And like the thing on the waivers, that's funny because Dak was the last pick, ends up, and then he uses his first pick strategically, I think. And then I was the first pick, so I had the last waiver claim. And that's why I had literally not been setting an alarm. I just wake up a lot through the night, and I grab those guys.
I still don't believe that.
So I swear to God, literally.
It's been like spot on. Like every day I wake up on Wednesday and I see D Brown like 3 different pickups at some time at 3 a.m.
So what I'm saying though is also like I had the last claim and now I like saved it, didn't use any because I was like, all right, those first round of guys, they're gonna get claimed, and I really won't like it's not worth it using the claim. So I kind of saved mine. Now I have the first claim, so it's like I definitely will be using that soon. I'll be putting that claim in for sure.
I'll just make a quick point for the budget since we talked about it today. Like, I don't hate the way we do it now. I just like the budget because it gives everyone a chance, and it's how much are you willing to spend on that guy. And it almost adds like a free agent aspects, makes it more
Right.
makes it a little more strategic. But
Definitely strategy for sure. And I mean, hey, that's what we were looking for when we did keepers. So it's something to talk about for sure.
Yeah, definitely a conversation to have in the off season.
All right, let's move on to the next matchup here. The Ravens Nest. Speaking of Lamar, I needed him in another league. I was pissed.
I bet, actually. Yeah.
You break down this matchup and look at the.
I mean, let me start it. I will start breaking.
Okay, all right.
It's like we started. So, I mean, we got Gardner Minshew in there. We think it's the right call against Miami. And then so we're going to just break it down by going like this. Our first 4 picks were McCaffrey, not in our lineup. Our second pick, Kenyon Drake. So we got our second round pick in there. Third round pick, Julio, not in the lineup. Fourth round pick, Deshaun Watson, not in the lineup. It's like, how do you expect to win a game with just your second round pick in the lineup? I mean, I got Josh Kelly in there, Dobbins, Laviska Shenault. I knew I was going in there. I'm like, I had to play Shenault though because I didn't think Julio was going to end up playing. And then I think so. I had to.
Who else did you have for wideouts that you could have played?
Nobody, literally. I needed to go to a waiver wideout because Julio was questionable with the hamstring, and watching him last week, I was like, he definitely is probably not going to play. So I was like, all right, since I got Minshew against Miami, let me grab this guy. DJ Chark was out. This was all my thinking. I'm like, maybe Minshew drops the TD to Shenault. I have a good Thursday. And it started with Gesicki. He had a touchdown catch early in that game, and I'm like, let's go. I had a little bit of hope. And then it just Josh Kelly. It's like, how can you have hope with these guys in your lineup? And you really can't.
I thought Deshaun was really going to do it to you. I think he finished with like 16 or 17, but he had a lot in the first half, and then
I know
he threw a couple picks. But it's a max team. I think it still comes. I mean, 116, he got the win, but I mean, the Mike Evans stat line was just so lucky. 2 catches, 2 yards, 2 TDs,
right?
And then what was it? Lamar. The second round pick. I just don't think. You come into the season with the expectations that he's going to have this amazing year like he did the year before, and it's just like it's so hard to replicate that. So I just don't think he's ever going to get the value back. I also think Fournette and that Bucks backfield is kind of just an up and down. So I mean, Max he's got some solid pieces for sure, but I think right now, if you look at the 5 teams who are 2-1 or better, in my opinion, he's probably at the bottom of it. But obviously that can change. But right now, I think he's gotten some wins, but I don't know. He's going to need Lamar to start having some 40-point weeks to put the fear in the league like he had last year.
And
I think we were spot on with that earlier analysis because we said Allen, Diggs, great picks. Those have been 2 of his bright spots. Obviously, Zeke's been a good first-round pick, and then we said he didn't really give any other good flex options, which is showing. The second running back right now, and then Lamar is kind of, he could be starting guys like Keenan Allen and Diggs going between them and the flex and then have a much better second running back and pick Lamar early. So we'll see how he, works it from here. But
I know he's going to be sitting there listening to this and loving it. He's going to be like, let's go. I mean, we're 2-1. He thinks his outlook's good. I don't know. Like Ross said, there's definitely a couple teams that are better than him. Lamar, I think Lamar is he's definitely still going to drop like 30 or 40. but he's not going to be that Lamar he was last year. And yeah, he's going to need Montgomery or Fournette to step up. And I saw Fournette was a little injured coming out of last week, so we'll see. He's going to need his RB2 situation is a little murky.
Yeah, Rojo looks a lot better in that backfield. But
He
Tom
does. I mean, it's like give him the ball, man. Come on. But yeah, my roster just looking ugly. I mean, I definitely would rather have Collins, but for sure he's got.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah.
You gonna make some trades this week or what? Where do the
Probably
Rockers
not.
go from here?
Probably not. The Rockers just we keep on rocking. We see where we go. We try to grab a win. I don't know if we're gonna be making moves.
Let's stay on after the podcast and talk trades.
Huh?
And let's do an after the pod special and get a trade done.
Let's do it.
All right, let's jump to over-unders. Just recapping real quick, I went 0 for 2. I lost it on James Robinson early on Thursday, and then my over was Chris Carson. He got hurt, so I was 0 for 2. Ross, what'd you go, 1 for 1?
I went 1 for 1, and they were wild. I think I had Diggs as an under, and he went over by like 0.6. And then I had Cooper as an over, and he went over by like 0.2. So they were pretty tight ones, but we'll take the 1-1 in first place after 2 weeks.
Hell yeah. So yeah, I had Kenyon Drake was my over last week, and he came close to it. I think he might have had like double digits, but he didn't. He was supposed to go like for 15. Came close, but didn't have it. And then Darren Waller was my under. The Pats locked him up. He was also definitely injured coming into that game, but he still played. And so, I mean, hey.
That was a great call.
But so this week I realized that I had Juju, and I already had Chris Godwin, who ended up missing that week, and now Juju's going to miss this week. So I'm going to have to just go with a spot and make one.
Juju's missing this week. Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, no, just because of the Steelers.
No, I think that game will still get played this week.
Yeah, I still think
You're saying Monday or Tuesday night.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we can go with it.
All right. So yeah, my over is Juju this week at 11.8. I think when he has Big Ben back there, they have a good connection. I mean, Ben's getting older, but he can still sling it. And they're playing the Titans it is this weekend.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know if that's a huge over-under game, like if the over will be that big, but I can see Juju getting in the end zone. Him and Ben have a good connection.
Yeah, I think we touched on this slightly, but I think the Ravens blow out the Redskins this week, kind of take out all the anger from that Monday night defeat. And when the Ravens are winning, they're running the ball, they're going to have a lead. I think Ingram smashes the 8.9 projections and goes into double digits easily.
I love that, actually. That's definitely happening. I love that.
I'm going to jump right off that, go to my Mark Andrews, same game. I think the run game, I agree with everything Ross just said. I think the run game's going to get going, and I think the pass game's going to look better than it did last week, and that, in a big part, we were talking about it, is Mark Andrews.
Yep.
11.4. I think that's pretty easy when he's almost guaranteed to score a touchdown in my book. He's a beast. Lamar's going to want to prove himself. I think he throws for at least 2. Got to hit Mark for 1. Grab a couple catches, 40, 50 yards. That's an easy over in my book. Got to bounce back after last week, and I'm going to Mark.
I will say the amount of overs for the downtown nappers have been like unreal. Here's 2 more tonight. I think I picked them 1 week. D picked another week. Odd seems to love the downtown.
He's got a squad.
Yeah, can't disagree there. I've gone to him at least twice now in 4 weeks. So
that's funny. Would have never known that.
Actually, 3 weeks. We didn't do week 1.
I've actually gone twice too. I picked Eckler and Cooper.
1 week we'll just sweep the board and have all.
Let's just not look at his roster next week.
So keep throwing them out there, boy.
More napper overs.
All right, let's jump to the unders here.
So my under is Miles Sanders. Throw him up there. I mean, this one is tough.
Ross.
He's a big piece of their offense, and they're playing the Rams, aren't they? Oh, no, actually, this is the Sunday night game. They're playing the Niners. Niners got a stingy D. I can see him locking Sanders up, even though since he's been back, he's gotten the touches. I just think the Niners D locks him up. They're missing some pieces, but I don't have faith in the Eagles. I mean, he has gotten his touches, though, so he's going to get his touches, but I don't think he's going to do a lot with them against the Niners.
He gets fed, man. He gets fed.
He does. He sure does.
They have no one else. Take that as motivation, Miles?
Hey, Miles.
Yep. Okay, I forgot who I had. Yeah, I'm going Josh Jacobs. I think Bills have a pretty good defense. They kind of got shredded by Darrell Henderson last week, but they were
Big
playing
time.
with a lead, so they were playing more pass defense. And but Jacobs, I think that 7.3 is pretty high. I mean, he's a stud. He's definitely a good player, but he just needs to have a huge game to get there. I think the Raiders started a little hot, and they're coming back to reality. So I'm going to go under.
Charles
we'll take
expecting a big
69.
game out of him. Charles needs one.
Yeah. Well, I was looking for an under, and so naturally I went to Joe Dim's team and was looking up and down his squad, but couldn't find one. So I jumped over to Colin's team. And no, I'm just kidding. But I was struggling for an under this week, and I ended up landing on Zeke just because 21.5 seems high. I think this game might be more competitive than the odds makers are saying. I think Dallas is favored by a decent amount, but I think it might be a close one. I think the Browns are going to be able to stop the run a little bit more than people expect. And 21.5 or 6, whatever, it seems a little high to me. I still expect them to get, a touch fall into the end zone at least once and get 15, 16 points. But 21.5, let's hope he goes under that.
That is a massive projection.
Dude, I'm looking at these like, how the hell is Miles Sanders only 14.9? I'm not getting as confident looking at these other running backs' numbers. 17 and 21. Sanders is 14. Like, what the hell?
I mean, Zeke's been a stud this year, but that's just a massive projection.
It is.
Like that's like a high-end QB right there.
I'll take it. Hoping to go 2-0 and jump back up on the leaderboard here.
Oh.
All right. Week 4. D Brown needs that first win, but first off, let's jump to back. Another big one here. Ross, break this one down for us.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably the matchup of the week. Happy Land Trippers, they just every year they come out with a squad. They get a nice 3-0 record. Let's take a look. I mean, Wilson's just a sheer. I think he's angry. Him and Carroll, they want to go win an MVP, so they're giving him as many rush or pass touchdowns as possible. I know Sandman was complaining about that. I mean, you got to like Kirch in any matchup. The way his team's been playing lately, I think Zach Ertz was a great pickup. Like I have Ingram as an over. DK and Russ have a great connection going between Cook and Taylor. He's got a really solid squad. I don't know if Evans is going to have as much touchdown luck as he's had recently. I'm going to give the edge to Kirchy right now, but you never know with Lamar. I think we all know he's due for that big week, and that can make things very interesting.
Yeah, I'll just quickly throw out too. Evans is getting guarded by Casey Hayward, the guy in LA. So that makes it tough. Godwin is out, so Tom may force it to him, but we'll see on that one. And then Dave Montgomery has not looked good. Cohen did get hurt, so it'll be interesting to see how he's played, especially pretty good defense that the Colts have this year. So I think Colin may struggle to find points from a couple of key spots.
Yeah, looking at Kurtz's roster, it's tough to go against that one. I'm rooting for Kurtz. I think he wins it with this roster and pushes C-Mac a little bit closer to the bottom, which I'm going to need. I'm rooting for that.
I'm with you, brother. All right, Ross, got a big one here against Lane. I'll break this one down. It's interesting just looking at Lane's team. Swift, obviously not like the way he's crumbled there with AP coming, September 4th and taking the job. 35 years old, so we'll see. They may be down against the Saints and throwing a lot, which could bode well for him. We'll see. Melvin Gordon against the Jets, that offense with third-string QB. We'll see what happens. Lindsey, I think, is still questionable with turf toe, so that could hurt his odds as well. And then Fuller, hit or miss. John Brown, kind of hit or miss for me as well. I don't think he did much last week. CeeDee Lamb. All right. But I just am going to struggle to see Lane come out with a win against this team. Ross, I'm going to give it to you. You got a pretty solid squad. Edwards-Helaire. I think Bill's going to dial something up, but that's a pretty good running back combo right there, even with tough matchups. And then OBJ, like you said earlier, that's a great matchup against Dallas. And like I said, I like Cleveland to do pretty well in that game. And Noah Fant, I think he's going to get 8-9 catches, especially with the young QB in there, just looking at a security blanket against the bad defense. So
Thursday night.
I think it might be closer than projections are saying, but I'll give it to you for sure.
Well, I mean, Lane's – I don't think he's checked his team yet this week, to be honest, because I don't think he's going to stick with the Pats D.
Right.
I think Devontae Adams probably plays. He also has Latavius Murray, who he'd probably play over Swift, given that Swift had 0 carries last week.
Yeah.
So I think he could put together a better lineup than he has. But this is kind of another must win for the Old Town Pirates, in my opinion. We get a kind of injured team coming in. We got some good – I think the Odell, Kareem Hunt, Dak situation in the Big D, the way the Cowboys have been playing games, they've been absolute shootouts. So we like to get Odell for a big, massive week. And then hopefully nothing happens with the Vikings and we can get Thielen to get more than like 2 catches from fucking loser boy Kirk Cousins. But
Jefferson show.
We like our chances.
Yeah, I like Ross in that. What's the producer doing here? We like Ross in that.
Bro. All right. Ross, you want to break this one down? Or D Brown, sorry.
I'll take this one. Yeah, it's Charlie needs this one. Sandman coming off a loss. He's going to want this one, you know. He's got his QB1 in the lineup this week, Jared Goff. Kamara just looks like a beast. That was a sick run last week. Chris Carson, we'll see if he plays. He's definitely – they said he had like a 1 to 2 week timeline. Kenny Golladay, he's back catching touchdowns. I'm a Golladay believer. McLaurin gets fed, has a tough matchup against the Ravens for sure. Waller, also a tough matchup. Is he still hurt? We'll see. James Conner with 2 big weeks after his opening day scare there. And then now looking over to Charlie. Rodgers Monday night. Gotta love that against ATL. Rodgers should dump some touchdowns. Jacobs against the Bills. That's a tough one. Mixon's got a solid matchup. I don't know. This is going to be, I think, I'll go out on a limb and say this is going to be the matchup that's the closest this week. This is going to be a tough one.
I will add a couple points. I think I'll tip the cap to Sandman. He did on the podcast say last week he got Carlos Hyde. So either way, he's going to have a started running back against Miami, which is pretty good for Seattle. But kind of looking at the commission, the kind of Warriors, this is a big week for them because I believe Aaron Rodgers has a bye next week. So he's going to be out his QB1. And then another big point on the Warriors, I think this is the week that Caleb needs that second-round value out of Joe Mixon. He hasn't really showed much. I don't think he's scored a TD yet. Could be wrong, but it's been like average to below average weeks. He needs a big performance out of Mixon.
I think it's been below average the whole time.
Yeah.
He's definitely underperformed. And then also, is he going to stick with Johnson at the flex? Last week was a tough flex call. Wouldn't have won if he started some other guys. But you said you had the tough flex call going in, and it looked like a tough flex call during the games. The bench guys were scoring touchdowns, and I think it was Edelman you flexed.
Yeah, I flexed Edelman. I was thinking about Deontay Johnson. That's who I had in there until about 12:45. He ended up having 1 catch, 9 yards, got hurt. So wasn't really kicking myself, especially since like you said, I lost by 20 or something like that. So it didn't matter. This week, David Johnson's in there. I'm thinking about Woods as well. Edelman against the Chiefs I'm back and forth there. And then Hollywood Brown again is kind of tempting, but it'll be big. And I couldn't agree more with Ross. Both Mixon and Jacobs, I'm going to call them out. We need them to show up this week for the Warriors. If they don't, we're going to have a tough uphill climb, but I'm really hoping for a big performance out of those two. I don't hate the matchup for Jacobs against the Bills. I think he'll do all right there. And obviously, it'll come down to Rodgers and Ridley on Monday night, hoping for a shootout in that game.
Like Ross said, I was literally watching that game last week. Darrell Henderson was 6 yards a clip moving the ball against the Bills D. So Jacobs could fare well.
Quick point, if you look at Sandman's bottom 3 guys all in the postponed game, obviously kicker and defense is kind of easy to replace. But, I mean, if he loses Carson and then a Connor in the flex, like – That's a nice gift for Hall to have in week 4.
Yeah. I called it all. This is going to be the closest matchup. This is going to be a real good matchup.
This will be tight. I agree.
I'm
going to give the edge to the Warriors.
All 3 of those are Monday.
What, y'all?
All 3 of those games are Monday, or all 3 of his players, and then 2 of my guys in the other game on Monday.
That'd be crazy.
All right. Let's jump to this one. Who wants to take it?
You take
Dr.
it.
Sheehan. Let's go, Dr. Sheehan.
All right. Yeah. I like Sheehan in this one, to be honest with you. I think there was a good week last week out of the Dap Nappers. But I don't know about Brady throwing that many touchdowns every week. I think they're gonna end up running it in a decent amount and playing a lot of defensive football. And I think Eckler's gonna struggle, going against that team. Chubb and Cooper, obviously, we've touched on it with Big D. They'll be good, I believe. But Parker against Seattle, I mean, there's been a lot of talk about Seattle having a bad D. I think they've had tough matchups and they're gonna show up. And Mark Andrews is obviously my over. Mike Davis is nice. But I think Sheehan's team is legit, and I think they show up. Kyler Murray is going to run all over Carolina. Jones on Monday night again. That should be a shootout with Gurley. Thomas coming back against a pretty weak, Detroit team. I guess Okuda might be on him, that first-round pick. But I think you can't guard Mike, especially if you're a rookie in the NFL. And DJ Moore, and Kittle, Mostert, if he plays, I like his team up and down. I think this should be a battle. If me and Trev's isn't the closest, this might be the good candidate for closest as well.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm losing. I was high on Gurley, not high on Gurley, but I was like, I'm still a believer in him, but I'm definitely coming off Todd Gurley. He doesn't do much for you.
Wow, he's gotten a couple lucky TDs, or else he'd be bad.
Yeah, he doesn't do much for you for sure anymore.
Devontae Parker is also only a backup.
Who else you got going?
For Juju.
True. But yeah, looking at Sheehan's team, he's expecting them to be back. I don't think Mostert will be back. George Kittle's questionable, but he returned to practice. So did Michael Thomas. So
he's good to go.
Yeah, I think Thomas and Kittle, but I don't think Mostert plays. I don't know. I think this is definitely going to be a good game. I think Daffy's going to get a little streak going, though.
I think that's some crazy projections by Sheehan. 123, that's definitely most in the league. I can see Thomas coming back and not being as effective, possibly. I don't know. Drew Brees just doesn't look. It seems like he can only throw it 5 yards to Alvin Kamara and then let Kamara do the rest. I don't know. I'm gonna have to give the edge to Sheehan though.
Crazy stat: the 5th leading receiver in the league. Take a guess.
Kamara.
Yep. 5th leading receiver is Kamara.
That's insane.
I will say the Chubb matchup, just from my Browns perspective, I think it's going to be more of a shootout, and the Dallas secondary has been terrible. So I think that bodes more well to kind of a Hunt passing game situation. And I mean, I think Big D might be slightly better. So I think they could get the lead, and then that would be bad for a Chubb situation. But I don't know. Like I said, Dap, it's like lightning and thunder. Both of them are just absolute fantasy stars right now.
Oh yeah, Dappy I just saw everybody except this kicker at the 1 o'clock games on Sunday. Also, Devontae Parker is underrated. Definitely underrated. He's decent. I know it's the Dolphins, but it's like he's definitely.
I don't hate that start, but I think Seattle, they get big leads and their secondary has just been torched.
Yeah.
So
Fitz
Magic looked good last Thursday.
We'll see what happens to that Steelers-Titans game, too. Obviously, that's the big question.
Yeah, I think the Fantasy Football Focus was saying there should be some clarity by Sunday morning on when the game is and what's happening fantasy-wise. So
it's Daffy's going to have some clarity on his fantasy points around 4 o'clock. He'll be knowing what he's got. Everybody. Sheehan's got Sunday nighters, Monday nighters.
He's got 1, 2, 3, 4 between Sunday and Monday night. That's an interesting dynamic in a matchup. I love those aspects.
Yeah.
Dap, you think you're gonna win this one? I'll take that as a no.
What do you say?
Oh, we'll be winning. We're not afraid of Sheehan. We watched Sheehan just absolutely sink into the couch last week as he was getting bent over by Ross. So, like, congratulations, Dr. Sheehan, but you're not going to be celebrating for very long.
Love it.
KKK and the Mountain Goats are going down this week, according to our producer.
Dr. Murray's Mountain Goats, fuckers or something? Butt fuckers, Mountain Goats, Sheehan?
All right, the last matchup, heavily favored Darryl Brown. No, I'm just kidding.
After the draft, those stupid fucking standings that I just wish weren't even a part of the app showed me number 1. Now the arrow just boom 10.
Wait. The double tight end for Mr. D Brown?
This is just as of
Remember
now.
the last time you did that?
Yeah. Who was it? I don't remember who it was. But yeah,
It was
I mean,
4 years ago I told you to do it, and then you did it, and they both threw up duds, and you were
It
pissed.
cost me
and you
the
said
league.
it cost you playoffs.
Gasecki is more like a receiver to me, but I mean, yeah, I don't know.
I do
Someone
like
else
both of their. I don't know
you
who
guys
else
can
you
break
really
this
have.
down.
I'll get into it a little bit. I think kind of with the mixing point, it's time make or break for Kenyon Drake to do something for D Brown. He needs it with no CMC. Hopefully I think Julio should be good with the extra day of rest on Monday night. Deshaun, Minnesota's D's been pretty bad. He's due for another big game. I think D's good. He's
Another
due
big
for
game. He hasn't had a big game.
not another. He's due for a big game. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to give the edge. I like the upset here. I think Bill Belichick's able to keep Mahomes to 22 or less. I don't think he goes for another 40-point week. And then it's just like, are we still going to have this James Robinson guy blowing it up and just going off in the group? And I'm going to give the edge to D just because I want that for the league. I want it to be a little tighter, get Dim with another loss. But Dim's got a good squad. We'll see what Derrick Henry is, if he's there or not. And I just Lockett, he's good for one of those wild games. I think that was probably the best of his career, but he's not the most consistent guy. So we'll see. I think D needs Drake, Julio, and Deshaun, his who he rode with draft day to put up a big number for him.
Literally. And it's
Yeah,
like,
I don't see it
say
happening, but rooting for you today.
I need it, man. I mean, I don't see it happening either at this point. We're dropping dud after dud. But like you were saying about James Robinson, it's like, he's playing Cincy, so he's probably gonna fucking keep it going. It's like,
oh yeah, that rush D sucks.
It's like he's playing Cincy. It's like fucking. Who knows? I mean, I like my team this week. I do. 106. Last week it was like 84 projections. So we're back in the hundreds.
There you go. Happy for you. All right. Well, that's all we got this week. Big one in the Valley. We say it every week, but it just feels like it every week. It's fucking the Valley. So
Keeps getting bigger.
thoughts, boys?
I'm excited.
This is a big one. I mean, let's go. Let's try to get that first one.
I think this is week 4. We start seeing some separations. If some of these 2-1 teams win, some of these 1-2 teams lose, there starts to become a gap in the league. And hopefully D can get some wins and some what kind of Warriors can get some wins, and we really bunch it up and make for an exciting playoff push.
Yeah,
All right.
I just want to say it on the record in case we do make it happen. We're 0-3. We're looking to go 8-3, finish 8-6, and get in. So we're definitely not going to give up. I mean, hey, we're looking maybe to make moves. We'll see.
Why not 11-0?
God, that's not happening.
Wakanda forever, baby. We're out.
Let's go. Good luck to everybody.